Welcome back to Brands Hatch for the second race of the GB3 Championship weekend. We had a small delay early on, but I'm pleased to say we are going to get all the races in that we were due to get in the GB3 Championship here this weekend in sunny Kent. I'm Jon Jackson. I'm joined by Piers prior here as we look ahead to this second race of the weekend after Alex Nenovich dominated the first race, taking pole position in that race and this upcoming race, and of course taking that pole position and converting it into a victory. It really was an exceptional drive from Alex Nenovich, wasn't it? And great to get more success for the Rodin team.
It was unbelievable from Alex Nenovich. I'd say probably one of the most impressive performances we've seen in GB3 history, really. I mean, the gap he had to the rest of the field was impressive, and then he showed he had exactly the same pace in the race, didn't put a foot wrong. Very, very impressive. Need we say more?
And he's going to be challenged, of course, by Freddie Slater, who's an exceptional record of podiums here in the GB3 Championship as well, and plenty of other drivers, including Deegan Fairclough, who's had some success previously here at Brands Hatch, but actually hasn't been on the podium for a long time and got his first podium for those several months, actually, yesterday. So let's just remind ourselves as what happened in the first race of the weekend yesterday here at Brands Hatch.
Partnered by the BRDC as they all got into place in the grid order for the race at Brands Hatch, the 100th race of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. And of course, it was a good start from our championship leader, who would try and defend off from Deegan Fairclough. A poor start from the front row, though, for Freddie Slater, who dropped back into fourth position, almost into the clutches of Pat Heuzenroeder. But going full send around the outside at Druids, it was Slater who was retaking over second position as he was trying to attack as well for the race lead. Nenovich, though, held strong and was able to keep the hill speed driver behind. Meanwhile, Deegan Fairclough and Pat Heuzenroeder would also do battle on the opening lap. Tom Panichka would run a little bit wide going through the first corner, was starting to feel the pressure a little bit from Reza Sawuthan, who was also feeling the pressure from Keanu Alazari. But the main pressure around the circuit was on the shoulders of Lucas Flusha, who was trying to keep Jack Sherwood at bay. Some mistakes late on in the race would see Sherwood off the road, and unfortunately it would cause a safety car. However, we would still have 2 laps of racing left to go, and Nenovich, with a perfectly executed restart, was able to pull a half-second margin over Freddie Slater. Great battling between Reza Sawuthan and Keanu Alazari would see them fighting over 12th position as hard as they could. Flynn Jacks would go off the road as well behind. Keanu Alazari down the inside to wrestle 12th position off of the clutches of Reza Sawuthan. And the 100th race under the GB3 banner would go the way of the championship leader. Alex Nenovich would be on top.
Yeah, well, we can see the standings. Alex Nenovich leading ahead of Patrick Heuzenroeder and Gianmarco Pradel, the 3 Australians, really dominating things this season in the GB3 Championship. Will McIntyre as well, with Keanu Alazari, who we saw on the podium a couple of times last time out at Silverstone. And actually, Alex Nenovich, I was watching him testing at the start of the season, and having not put a foot wrong yesterday, I was super impressed, you know, just by the kind of fine margins that can lead to a mistake. And I'm sure you know it more than I do as a former driver yourself, Piers. He was making a mistake. There was one little kind of accident he had at Donington, and you know, he put it into the barrier, and it was quite a big one. And it just kind of showed me that he's made his mistakes before the season started. He's really been pushing the car since they first got into this new GB3 car. And I guess once you get that out of the way, you know the limits of the car and you know the limits of the track when you've tested. That means you can put in performances like we saw from Alex.
Absolutely, and the drivers will have been pushing the limits when they were testing here a couple of weeks ago at the pre-event test. Nenovich was unsurprisingly very quick at that one as well, and that's when they can be a bit more risky, because when you've got a couple of weeks to the race weekend, if something does go wrong because you're pushing the envelope a little bit, the team have got time to get the parts, fix the car. It's not just as simple as sometimes as, you know, bolting a new part on. Sometimes they need to order the parts in. It's if you break the car badly, it takes a long time to fix, whereas as soon as we get to the race weekend, stakes are a little higher. If you make a big mistake in qualifying, we've seen it in the past. I think it was Suter Arau last year, had a crash in qualifying, didn't make it out for the first race. We've seen it before, whereas the drivers arrive this weekend, they have to be absolute pinpoint perfect from qualifying. Nenovich was that. Oh, I say it, pinpoint perfect from qualifying. From the second part of the first qualifying session, actually, when the red flag came out partway through the first qualifying run, he wasn't at the pole position. Somehow managed to go out in the last 5 minutes, banging a lap time, and then bested that again in the second part of qualifying, which sets the grid for this race. And the lap time was very impressive, a 17.6. fastest we've ever seen in GB3, and I think it's like the 5th or 6th fastest lap that's ever been done around here, or like of any class or something like that, you know, in the lap records.
I mean, it's super impressive, and as I say, margin for error is absolutely tiny here in GB3. We talked about Freddie Slater a lot. Obviously, Freddie Slater did come second yesterday. Deegan Fairclough on the podium. It's been a long time since he had a podium, and we talked about it with Deegan just after he got out of the car, but when you've dominated a series like he did last year, he's come into GB3 and he's not had it all his own way, basically, you know, setting records every weekend, it felt like last year. It must be quite difficult as a young driver to sort of come down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, we spoke about it a bit yesterday, didn't we? About having good people around you and having the preparation and the management behind you to put you in the right frame of mind is hugely important. And I think for situations like Deegan's gone through this year, where he's not had a bad year by any stretch, he's well in the championship hunt, in 6th place coming into this weekend. Not a bad year, but not the year he would have been hoping for. He would have been hoping to continue the form he had in British F4 last year, where, as you mentioned, he set records. But when drivers move up a series, they almost need to reset their expectations. It's a big step up from a Formula 4 level championship into GB3, both in terms of the speed of the cars, the competitiveness. I don't imagine it'll race against quite as many drivers from all over the world. So being able to mentally deal with that and then use that as fuel to then come back next year and do even better, or wherever he ends up next year, is then what creates a really strong and resilient racing driver. He's had good results, no doubt. Of course, podium yesterday, starting in 3rd place in this race, so a good chance for podium as well. We know he can overtake. We know he likes getting stuck in, but just piecing all the bits and pieces together and polishing it perfectly is what he'll be concentrating on for the final race of this year, going into next year.
It'll be interesting to see what Deegan can do for high-tech TGR. Now, families have always kind of been involved in motorsports, and we've never had brothers racing in the same series and also in the same team, have we? Before, we've had the Grand Force brothers, Joel and Linus, and that was GB3 and GB4. You pointed one out to me before as well?
Yeah, Zach and Noah Ping were GB3 and GB4 a couple of years ago as well. So we've had families in the paddock, but
yeah, we've got a family connection. The brothers are not only in the same championship, they're also racing in the same team, and Piers caught up with the Gonzalez brothers.
I'm here with some familiar looking faces. You guys joined us at Silverstone, back again for Brands Hatch. This is Patricio and Rodrigo Gonzalez.
Yes.
Make sure that I'm getting all the names incorrectly. Guys, first of all, great to have you back in the championship. Secondly, we haven't had that many siblings in the championship, so cool to have you back. How has it been in the GB3 championship for you both so far?
I mean, right now it's been very challenging. It's very different to what we're used to. The cars here have downforce. The cars back in the US that we drove didn't have any. Different tracks. There's a lot more grip. It's a learning experience right now for us.
And Patricio, same sort of thing?
Yeah, same thing, especially the tracks. No, we don't have as much track time as everyone else, so we struggle a lot at the beginning. And we're starting to get more acclimatized to the things over here than in the US.
Of course, you've come a long way to come and race in the championship. You know, what brought you to the championship? Why are you guys here?
We're here to learn as much as possible, gain as much experience, become the best form we can be. And I think the GB3 is the perfect championship to do that.
And this weekend you're with VRD Racing as well. Great team, we know they've been in the championship many years. How are they working with you? Have they been helpful so far?
Yeah, the team has been amazing with us, helping us every step of the way, and we're grateful to be here.
And it would be remiss of me, brothers in the same championship, racing for the same team. Of course, you're competitive with everyone else, but probably you guys more competitive with each other than anyone else?
Yeah, but we're also siblings and teammates, so we always try to help each other. Racing-wise, we always try to help each other in the track, never mess one another, instead always pushing together.
Amazing, and of course it would be good to have someone sharing the experience with you as well, someone you know so well.
It's amazing having your brother. If you manage to beat him, if not, it goes not as good in your house.
And who's going to come out on top this weekend?
Hopefully me.
Of course, I knew that was going to be the answer. Looking ahead, of course, you guys have come over the pond over here to race. Looking at the future, what are your aspirations? What do you want to achieve in your careers?
Obviously, right now we're in Europe. We're going to try to do as much as possible we can do here in Europe. Try to get F1 if it's possible. If not, we think realistically IndyCar is a more realistic goal, and that's something we can push.
And how do you think you're going to achieve that? What's your goals for the short term to medium term for that, Patricio?
I really don't know the future, but just focus on this right now. That's what we can do. and try your best at every moment.
Well, watch out for both Gonzalez brothers in the GB3 Championship and also Motorsport going forward. Guys, great to have you in the Championship. I hope you're enjoying racing the Championship so far. And we'll see you both as teammates this weekend at VRD Racing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And they're not only together in the team, but they're also together on the grid, kind of. Rodrigo starting 18th, Patricio starting 19th on the grid with VRD for this upcoming race. Great to see the brothers over here getting to grips with the GB3 car. Also returning, another driver from, well, I mean, they're from South America. Nikita Johnson's from North America. The Americas? I think you call it the Americas. Nikita Johnson is back. He did 3 rounds in FIA F3, and he's back now doing GB3. A little bit of a tricky one for him this weekend, though, after what happened in qualifying.
Yeah, unfortunately, had a mechanical issue in qualifying, which meant he didn't really set any representative lap times. Driver that we expect to be at the very least into the top 10, some often towards the front. He's had to fight his way through, but had a good recovery drive yesterday from pretty much the back, well, actually the back of the grid. Fought his way up, made 5 or 6 positions, got himself, I think he finished in about 15th place. He was 14th place, sorry Nikita, 14th place in the end. So he'll be looking to do the same again. Luck's not been on his side, unfortunately, for Nikita. Sometimes things go with you, sometimes things go against you. This has been one of those years for Nikita where maybe the rub of the green has been against him, but I spoke to him and he's taken it very stoically, you know, using it as an opportunity to build his resilience and hoping that potentially in future that the tide of luck might swing back his way and potentially when it matters more.
A very mature and level-headed guy, considering he's jumping in a different car all the time. And also, he's one of these great father-son connections with his dad, Obi. And, you know, they're travelling the world together and doing some cool stuff together. They love fishing together when they're not racing. They love being at racetracks. And also, last night I saw them, they were at the Big Easy at Blue Water, if anyone knows that, eating some kind of American food, so like a home away from home, which was pretty cool. Before they headed down and got themselves some shrimp and ribs, Piers caught up with Nikita yesterday.
Nikita, really unfortunate not to get the laps in quali. A mechanical failure meant you started from the back of the field in race 1, but you fought your way back as best you could in that first race.
Yes, it was a bit tough just after qualifying, you know, thinking that we could have probably had a good top 6, top 8. I think there was some big improvements coming from practice on the driving side and a little bit on what I wanted out of the car, but I can't thank the high-tech boys enough for getting the car already because, as you know, they had to take whole engine out, put it back in and redo everything. So it was cutting it a little bit close, but they got it all sorted and the car ran perfect in the race.
And we saw you make some pretty tasty moves out there. I suppose the silver lining to the cloud of you not having qualifying is you're getting to practice your overtaking around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, which is notoriously not easy.
Yes, it's very difficult, especially with the back section, like turn 5, 6, 7, right around there, those 3 rights. It's just tough to follow in the high speed, so you have to really make it up in the braking into 1 and turn 2. So it was fun. It was just having to wait for the right opportunities and just bounce when they'd make a mistake.
Pace hasn't really been an issue throughout the season. You've been there or thereabouts when you've been with us, but it seems like things, you know, you haven't been rubbing enough, you know, lamps for genies and good luck. You know, what can you do to turn this luck around?
I'm not too sure. I mean, you know, we've gotten hit a few times or had car problems or something, and you know, going to F3, so I missed 2 rounds, so I don't know, we just have to go figure out how to be lucky and put a good solid weekend together. So hopefully tomorrow the 2 races will be good. We get a lot of points in reverse grid, and then we go to Donington and qualify top 3 and go win. I'm really wanting a win in the GB3. So
of course, you've been here last year with us and you nearly got there, maybe again this year. Let's touch on that F3 just very briefly. Of course, you've sampled F3 a couple of times this year. I think there's a chance that you might even be doing some more later on. How is it going from, you know, proper F3, you know, just as a guest driver to then back in GB3? Does it take much time to get back used to the car? Is there much difference?
A little bit. I mean, I think the biggest differences are the tire grips. They're both Pirellis, but with FIA F3 is you have so much grip for 1 lap, so qualifying is right on the limit and you have a lot of grip. Compared to these tires, a little bit less grip, same as the Freca, you know, they have less grip. But the biggest thing is just the high speed. You know, when you come from a higher downforce car and come back to a lower downforce car, you have to kind of recalibrate everything. And that's a bit what I've struggled on, and I think most people that do that, either if they're going F3 back to Freca or GB3, or in the States going up and coming back down, they can relate that it's just very hard going from a higher downforce car to lesser.
Well, I'm sure you'll get used to it. Of course, you're joining us again for Donington, so we look forward to that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you carve your way through the field again in race 2. I look forward to that one.
Thank you very much.
Nikita Johnson there, who will start last in the race but made up a lot of places yesterday. We spoke about brothers and family connections. His younger brother, also a racing driver as well. Obi, his dad, was telling me that, if he's not there, he's not fishing, he's there supporting his younger brother as well. And Nikita, I'm sure, giving him some huge tips as well. Let's talk about another one of our drivers that's come in a bit like what the Gonzalez brothers are doing now. He came in at the end of 2023 to see if GB3 was the right fit for him, Patrick Heuzenroeder. Then he did a full season last year. You might remember his hard rock car that was incredibly bright and vibrant on the grid. Miami Blue. And then obviously Patrick Heuzenroeder doing another season now, second in the championship and really in that title fight. Piers, you've been impressed with him?
Yeah, Heuzenroeder's been really good this year. He's not been spectacular on a number of occasions, but he's always been there or thereabouts, and ultimately that's a really important skill for these drivers to cultivate to be successful at winning championships and in their later career when they hope to be full professional racing drivers. Because at this stage these drivers, they might on their bio might say professional racing driver, but they're not earning money yet. With the hope of that is to become a professional racing driver. And Pat, the number of top 10s and number of top 5s he's had is very impressive. And he was quick coming into this weekend in the pre-event test. Would have potentially hoped to have been taking pole, but even when he didn't take pole, yesterday, 4th place, when you're disappointed with 4th place, your level's pretty high.
Yeah, he'll start 4th on the grid for this upcoming race on the second row of the grid, and Piers caught up with him yesterday after said race.
Pat, race 1 done and dusted, a good result, not quite the podium that you would have wanted. Talk to us about, the start of the start. Great launch, but couldn't quite hold it with Freddie.
Yeah, really good launch off the line. I mean, a fair bit of wheel spin, but better than everyone else, which is what you're looking for. And then got alongside Fred into turn 1, and everyone just crowded in a bit. So unfortunate not to get up the inside of him. I think next time I'll just keep my foot in it. And then he's done a good job to get to P2. But then after that, around here it's pretty hard to overtake, and we'd all sort of drop back into our lap times respectively.
Yeah. Not too bad result for the championship. I know you're fighting on to try and get at least second place and see what you can do with Alex Ninovic, although he's looking pretty unbeatable this weekend. I suppose, is the championship on your mind at this stage, or are you taking it one race at a time?
Oh, look, people ask you about it quite often, what are you doing, what do you think about the championship? But, whether you're coming first or coming last, you're still trying to do the best job you can do. Alex's package looks pretty nice to drive. So, I'll just let him do his thing, but we just can focus on ourselves and, at least pull points for P2 in the championship, which I did in the last race. So.
Yeah, it looks like as a team as well, you're really gelling at this later stage in the season. A new team to GB3, of course, the new car this year as well. As a team, it looks like you're really taking steps forward.
Yeah, it's been good fun this season, developing a new car with new people, building those relationships. So very happy with that. And for sure in the last few rounds, we've taken big steps. Had a cracker at Zandvoort, struggled a little bit, and now we're back at the pointy end.
And you like this circuit as well?
Yeah, I love it out the back there.
Pat, we'll see how you get on in the race 2 and 3. Good luck.
All right, thank you very much.
Patrick Heuzenroeder from XL Motorsport. Hello to everyone watching Down Under. A lot of Australian interest in the championship this year, and a lot of Australian drivers doing it incredibly well. Patrick currently second in the championship going into this second race of the weekend. And a lot of people watching all around the world. If you're maybe supporting the Gonzalez brothers or one of the Australian drivers, or maybe Kiane Al-Azari from the Middle East, you might not have a full picture of the new GB3 car for this year. It's a seriously impressive bit of kit. And to fill you in a little bit more, here's Lewis McGlade.
The GB3 Championship introduces a new car to the series for 2025, the Tata's MSV GB3025. The new machine is a serious upgrade in the previous generation, with more downforce, greater power and innovations not previously seen at this level of motorsport. Key safety upgrades are also included, like the titanium halo, new front and rear crash structures, revised anti-intrusion panels and improved head and leg protection, meaning the car meets the latest FIA standards. Equipped with an F1-inspired aerodynamics package, adding 35% more downforce at the same drag level compared to the outgoing car, with new bespoke front and rear wing assemblies, powerful underbody aerodynamics and CFD-optimised aero surfaces. The most notable addition is the inclusion of the rear wing drag reduction system for the first time in GB3. The naturally aspirated 2-litre 4-cylinder mounted engine has received a 30 horsepower boost up to 280 horsepower, while additional grip is produced by the Pirelli tyres, which are now 2 inches wider all round. And that's the new car for GB3 in 2025. The GB3 Championship returns to West Kingsdown in Kent to the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, the scene of the season finale last year. Great overtaking opportunities with that run through Paddock Hill up towards Druids, of course back down the hill into Graham Hill Bend. The run along the backstretch past the back end of the pit lane goes into the first DRS detection and then activation point as we go down Pilgrim's Drop and then rising up Hawthorns Hill through Hawthorns Bend. Westfield Bend, the right hander then takes us back down through Dingledale before we rise up through Sheens, and then of course the penultimate corner at Stirling's and that run down to the second DRS detection point, which takes us through Clark Curve and then back out onto the start-finish straight. A very tricky circuit, a very narrow circuit, but one that you can rise up the order if you are brave enough. But of course, qualifying and track position is absolutely key to a good weekend around here. Very narrow and very bumpy, 30 metres of elevation around the 11 turns of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, about 2.5 miles in totality, and very tricky to get right.
Thank you very much, Lewis. As you can see, the assembly area here is just emptying out. Kanato Lee going out, Abby Pulling there in the Rodin car with the pink highlights, and Enzo Tarvanishko in the Red Bull branded car. I won't run through all the cars because that is the job of Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor, who will commentate on this race as we go racing for the second time this weekend here at Brands Hatch in the GB3 Championship.
Ready, Z roll. And then we straight into highlights next, so I'm going to wipe and turn. Highlights when it's ready, X. Ready, X. And leave the ball up for the next roll. Cameras to Bryn, please.
After a bit of a delay, we are finally ready to go racing for round 17 of the GB3 Championship in 2025. What has been building to quite an excellent title battle. Alex Ninovic, with yet another pole position, is starting to take control of things. He was absolutely rapid yesterday when he set the fastest race lap in GB3's history around here. So the fastest qualifying lap as well. He was on form yesterday and he'll be starting from pole position once again around a circuit which is difficult to overtake at. We've seen that over the 2.5 miles of this circuit. There is 2 DRS zones, of course, one on that run up towards Hawthorns, and of course on the start-finish straight down to Paddock Hill as well. Those 2 DRS zones, more assist on keeping the cars close rather than getting them side by side. Best overtaking opportunity around here really is at the top at Hawthorns. That's where they're getting that big speed advantage and they're going for the moves. You can see them on the formation lap here as we get ready for 18 laps of racing in what is, once again, same as yesterday, a beautiful day. Slightly more cloud coverage than if you were joining us the GB4 coverage this morning, but still it is absolutely lovely out there. Ninovic starting then from pole position. It is the same top 4 as yesterday's race. It's Ninovic and Slater first and second. Of course, the championship leader there on the left-hand side on pole position for the 5th consecutive time. Then on row number 2, it'll be Deegan Fairclough starting alongside Patrick Heuzenroeder. Of course, the 2 of those doing a fair amount of battle. Deegan Fairclough trying to keep up with the top 2. The rest of the grid order sees Gianmarco Pradel and Hiyu Yamakoshi starting from 5th and 6th position in that hill speed car. Behind that on row 4, we've got Kai Darianani and Kanato Lee for hill speed, of course, has returned to the championship this weekend. Behind that for the final row, inside the top 10, it's Abby Pulling and Enzo Tarvanishko. Of course, Abby Pulling was keeping up with her teammate Gianmarco Pradel quite a bit yesterday, was trying to really attack for some of those moves, couldn't quite do it though. Row number 6 sees Will McIntyre start alongside Jack Sherwood, who's an unfortunate retirement from yesterday's race. Of course, Will McIntyre battling for the top 5 of the championship. Reza Sawuthan will start from 13th position alongside Keanu Alazaria. A lot of pace there on row 7. Noah Lar will start from 15th position alongside Lucas Flusha in the Argenti with Prema car. And then behind that in 17th position, we've got Flynn Jacks and Rodrigo Gonzalez for the VRD Racing team. Patricio Gonzalez will start directly behind in 19th position, with Bianca Bustamante rounding out the penultimate row of the grid. The final one, just a single car. That's Nikita Johnson, after a technical failure in qualifying, was unable to go out in the second session, and so will roll off the 21st and final position. Lewis McGlade, Piers Pryor in the commentary booth, ready for 18 laps of racing. Freddie Slater doing a little bit of a burnout there just to try and get some heat into the rear tyres. One note from yesterday is Slater did struggle a little bit to get off the line. Went from second back to fourth before once again attacking and was able to find his way back through into second position. Patrick Heuzenroeder says he's been practicing those starts, getting it right. He had arguably the best start of that top group in yesterday's race. The final positions are about to get themselves into place, and we'll be ready to go racing for the second race this weekend. Not a long turnaround, though, until we go racing in the reverse grid race later on this afternoon. So for all the drivers, I'm sure the words have been clear from the team. Get what you can, but do not take any major risks. 21 cars in position, 18 laps ahead of us, and round 17 of the GB3 Championship is go here at Brands Hatch, with Alex Ninovich leading from pole position of the black and white car. Excellent launch as well from the red and black of Freddie Slater. It's Patrick Heuzenroeder there in fourth position that was defending from Gianmarco Pradel. Plenty of side-by-side going through the opening corner, as I think that was Kai Darianani almost making a little bit of contact with Abby Pulling, who's sending one to the inside of the pink highlighted Rodin car, and now around the outside comes Kanato Lee.
Yeah, I think there was actually contact on Pulling's front wing there. We'll keep an eye to see if there's any damage. Doesn't look like it. It's now Tarvan Ichgall's going up the inside of Graham Hill Bend. Yeah, you can tell Tarvan Ichgall's car, the Red Bull sponsored. That one with the bright blue highlights, that's Will McIntyre, who's been slightly off the road going through Graham Hill. And now the BWT sponsored car of Keanu Alazari was making a move. And Tarvan Ichgall and Keanu Alazari's been sent around and into the barrier. 3 wide as Will McIntyre's trying to make the move as well as they go up towards Hawthorns. But a little bit of contact just sent round in the awkwardness of that mid-pack. Yeah, that was looked like a spectacular accident, but actually just a polystyrene block that's been exploded there. See, thumbs up from Keanu Alazari showing that he's okay. Car won't be continuing on though. Hopefully that can be retrieved. We can continue racing. We've got side by side into Sheep. Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, look, plenty of side-by-side moments around this circuit, but there we go, another bit of a look coming in from Flynn Jacks, just hugely dramatic, no note of any form of safety car required. I think where he did crash is quite close to a barrier to get that car out of the way. This is Tarvan Ichgall taking on Reza Wilson, of course, and the battle a little bit further down the order, that is around about 10th position or so. Safety car has been deployed. Safety car for Keanu Alazari's car that's clearly not in a safe position. I wonder if all the drivers have seen yet. They've all seen the safety car board. So we went one full lap of racing before the safety car came out. It was just a bit of a 3-into-1 situation that didn't go there down the straight towards Pilgrim Drop and Hawthorns. Unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time for Keanu Alazari, the man that was in form at Silverstone. Very different set of events this weekend for the high-tech TGR driver. Yeah, and we only really had, when I said that there's going to be quite a short turnaround, we are doing the third GB3 race later on today. It'll be the last race here at Brands Hatch on this day. Now, with that, there is only really, from the end of this race to the start of the next race, a couple of hours. So for Keanu Alazari and the high-tech TGR team, instantly inspecting the car so he can pass that straight on to his team of engineers. I mean, they've not got long to get that car back to where it needs to be worked on, then to work on it and to make sure it's ready, check it over and get it back out on the grid. Yeah, you can see the concern on Keanu Alazari's face there as he was looking at the car. Let's have a look at the incident again as they rise over the exit of Surtees. Who was that with? That was a Tarvan Ichgall. And actually Reza Seaworthen was the one that also kind of got caught out and lost a few positions in there. The number 10 for Argenti by Prema. But there we are, the number 6, high-tech TGR, BWT Alpine junior driver of Keanu Alazari, not having the fortune that he was afforded at Silverstone. You know, shows how quickly things can turn around in a championship as close as this, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. On cloud 9, a couple of podiums and a great result, scoring the most. First victory as well. Yeah, first victory, and then this weekend just struggled. But again, it shows how important qualifying is, especially at a circuit as difficult to overtake at as Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. You know, if you're in the mid-pack, you're more likely to have situations where 2-3 cars converge, and interested to see if Tarvan Ichgall's got any damage as well, because that was fairly hefty side-to-side contact, and Tarvan Ichgall actually managed to get past Abby Pulling, didn't he? So Or was that before the incident?
That was
lap
before
one,
the
wasn't
incident. Tom Vinichko's now dropped down to 14th position, so the Red Bull Juniors lost a few spots. Abby Pullings 9th, and it's Lyle McIntyre, Sherwood, Flusha, Tom Vinichko, and then Seaworthen. So that's down 15th position. Keanu Alazari there, as we can see, definitely out of the race. You said about the round he had at Silverstone. I'm pretty sure he won the award for the Omologato Ones to Watch award, which is obviously for the driver that scores the most points in the opening 2 races of a weekend. So at the moment, for example, Alex Ninovic has won the first race. He's leading the second race of the weekend. So if he's able to win this one, then definitely he wins the Omologato Ones to Watch award. It's just one of those ones throughout the season to keep an eye on. It kind of shows who's been the fastest driver over a given round.
Yeah, or the driver that's had the most success in the qualifying starting position races. And I mean, Ninovic, the only thing we can say that's not 100% from Ninovic was the first run on his new tyres in the first session in qualifying. That second run, pole position. Second qualifying session, even faster. First race, didn't put a foot wrong. This race so far, perfect. That launch off the line was the best of any of the drivers, I'd say, inside the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely flew off the line. There's Nikita Johnson, who's been unable to make any progress on the start of the race. The marshals unsure as to why they've been unable to recover Keanu Alazari's car as of yet.
Deliberation going on there. It's a very well coordinated team here at Brands Hatch. We're going to be lifting it. Look at the strength.
Go on, run on down there, jump in.
Look at that. That is some serious. There was a front wing caught underneath. That's why they couldn't move it. Yeah. That means we should be able to get that car rolled out the way and in the little access road there. The driver's working hard now to keep their tyres, their Pirelli tyres up to temperature. This is actually probably one of the most physical moments of a race, actually, is keeping the tyres warm, going left and right, braking, accelerating. Yeah. Because those straight sections in a race where you've got a couple of seconds just to take a breath, you really don't. And this is where the drivers who have worked hardest in training and got themselves most strong and fit will reap the rewards, because they're going to be the ones that are most ready to hit the track and go racing again when the safety car hopefully comes in either this time or next time by.
Yeah, and now the car is off the road again, more communication with marshals. It's one of those ones, it's frantic moments then. They've got a lot to deal with in that time. We'll do one more lap, we believe, behind the safety car, and Keanu Alazari will hope that the recovery team can come around and collect that car pretty swiftly to take it back to the team, even hopefully before the end of the race. Whether that's possible or not, we'll have to wait and see. I very much doubt it.
Yeah, although he is by the access road that runs in the inside of to Hawthorne, so that'll allow him to get to behind the medical centre. So maybe there's a chance they could snatch that and put it round the back. So yeah, because as you mentioned, Lewis, it's not a foregone conclusion. Even fairly minor damage, don't often. I mean, think about it, you get your car going to the garage and getting fixed. They often don't do it in an hour or so, do they?
Oh, don't get me started. When I had my car sent in for
Let's not get you started on that, Lewis.
It was in there for 9 hours.
But it's not an MSV 025, is it, Lewis? They're not performing at the level of these GB3 teams. No, we joke, but the teams we are performing at a hugely high level. The mechanics in this paddock, they've honed their skills in the likes of karting, come up through Formula 4 level, often from GB4. And even the young mechanics in this GB3 grid, they know what they're doing and they'll descend upon it. Let's take Nikita Johnson, for example. His engine had an issue in qualifying, which is why he wasn't able to qualify where he would have liked to have done. But the team made a monumental effort to do a whole rear end of the car change for the first race to get him out, and then that allowed him to make up a few positions, gain valuable points. Yeah,
they did superbly. Obviously, in years prior, even around here, we've seen some pretty big incidents from qualifying. Ken, we said about Suto Rao before, said about Callum Voids before. They've had moments in qualifying. Don't get me wrong, the turnaround from that's probably about 4 hours. But still, the fact that they've had to rebuild quite a lot of that car in that time. The mechanics is very, very fast and very skilled at what they do, obviously. Because as much as all the drivers are on the career ladder trying to get up to Formula 1, the mechanics and stuff, they're all trying to do the same thing. Safety car is coming in this lap, though, so we'll have to wait and see.
Here we go. Taking control of the front of the field, Alex Ninovic has another opportunity to try and get a gap on the field. Freddie Slater right behind him in that red car is going to be trying to stay as close as possible, but going in the entry of Sterling's, it looks like he's gone quite early, and the front two have broken away from Deegan Fairclough.
And I wonder if, because Alex Ninovic had a perfect restart in yesterday's race, if Freddie Slater was a bit more aware as to when Ninovic was going to go, because he's been able to keep much closer this time by. So we're back racing here with plenty of time to complete the 18 laps of it might not be. Well, we'll come across that in a second. It'll be very tight regardless. So it's Ninovic leading from Slater, from Fairclough and the likes behind, but they all go single file through the opening couple of corners. There's Redison Wuthen trying to make a move once more on Enzo Tarvanitschko. See whether we'll go to the outside as they go through Druids. That's not going to work.
No, you're not going to be allowed space around the outside of Druids from behind that. In this level of racing, you see the drivers, that's the 78 there, Jack Sherwood in the pink and white car, just running wide through Brighton Hill, and it goes back up the inside. What a move, although the cutback from Lucas Flusha, not done there. So Sherwood goes down one and back up one in as many corners. Yeah,
I think Sherwood got squeezed off a little bit by Flusha and was like, absolutely not, mate. Sent it straight down the inside at Surtees. Tarvanitschko with the outside line, tips onto the grass a little bit, manages to find somehow his way through the corner without even losing a position to Seaworthen, who's once again back on the attack.
Wow, that was brave from Tarvanitschko. You know, 2 wheels on the grass, the entry to Hawthorns is not something that you want to be doing. But he's still having to defend from Seaworthen, who's trying to recover those positions he lost on that first lap skirmish. Tarvanitschko's showing that he can attack and defend at this stage of the race. Lucas Flusha, I must say, very impressive. This is one of his strongest showings, I think, so far this season. Looking pretty racy in this one.
Yeah, certainly so. So we complete the 5th lap of proceedings. We have 15 minutes left to do 14 laps. To do 30. We're probably not doing all of them. We might be very close. I'll update you as the race unfolds. It depends on the rapid speed of Alex Ninovic. The faster he goes, maybe the more laps we do. And he started off very quick indeed. A 1 minute 19.5 on the race restart. He's already built that gap out to over a second, so he won't have DRS to worry about.
Yeah, DRS broken to Freddie Slater. Ninovic is just absolutely on fire this weekend, and it sounds like we've spoken about him a lot, but this performance, I said it at the head of the show, is so far this weekend, don't want to give him the commentator's curse, he's still got a fair way to go in this one and also one more race later, but so far this weekend, one of the strongest performances I think we've ever seen in the GB3 Championship in its current guise. Just about Heuzenroeder hanging his wheel over the edge of the white line there, flirting with the dirt. You go too far there and you're going to be on a swift move to the barriers, but it's the driver's job is to make the most of the race circuit they have available. So we now cut back to Abby Pulling in the Roding car with the pink flashes there. She's in 9th place at the moment. Noah Lyle behind for JHR, just closing the gap ever so slightly in this middle sector. Big slide out of Sterling's goes Noah Lyle in the dirty air. These drivers in the mid-pack, they'll be sliding around a bit more than they would have done in their qualifying laps as the air gets turbulent off the back of the cars in front. You lose a little bit of downforce on the front and the rear, but more so the front, a bit of understeer normally induced. So we see now another driver that I think is going to be racing this one. That man there, the number 37 Elite Motorsports car, Will McIntyre, qualified higher in the first race. This race only in the second qualifying session, 11th place, but I think his pace is better than that, and you can see him keeping the pressure on the back of Noah Lyle at the moment as well.
I believe, by the way, it will be a timed race from I've done a little bit of calculatory work. It's whether you believe commentators' maths or the numbers I'm working with here. I believe we'll be running 2 laps shorter than the 18 laps. I think it will be a 16-lap race, but don't quote me on that one. You never know. Steven Ninovic, who knows? But he is flying at the moment. But I think that's going to be fast enough to outrun the clock. We've got 13 minutes and 10 seconds left to go at present, and once again, some of the battling is extremely close. The speed they go through Hawthorns is crazy.
Yeah. There we go, those two VRD cars of the Rodrigo brothers. We've got the Gonzalez brothers, led by Rodrigo, Patricio behind. They're joining us for, again this time, sampling the GB3 Championship with a view to potentially joining us for a full season next year. It'd be great to have them on the grid. A truly international grid we have here in GB3, as is proven by our Australian contingent at the front of the field and the front of the championship.
Well, the 79-second barrier has been broken as we set a 1 minute 18.901 from Alex Ninovic, who now leads by a second and a half. It's Ninovic from Slater, from Fairclough, the same top 3 as it was in yesterday's race. Pat Heuzenroeder in 4th position, same as yesterday. Gianmarco Bradell slightly better. Hiyu Yamakoshi, Darianani, Lee, Pulling and Lyle, the top 10. This is back with the number 5 just a bit further down the order as Pat Heuzenroeder, Gianmarco Bradell in a tight battle for 4th position. Can Bradell come through here?
Yeah, and don't forget this is a battle as well for the championship positions with Gianmarco Bradell and Pat Heuzenroeder doing battle for 2nd place. What was that, Lewis? I didn't catch that.
He's really taking it. Pat Heuzenroeder is really taking it over to the right-hand side of where the camera is looking. Of course, the left-hand side of the drivers go into Hawthorne's. I think he picked up a little bit of dirt as well when he turned in.
Well, we saw Deegan Fairclough do that on the entry to Paddock Hill, didn't we, in race 1 yesterday, as we held our breath as he touched the grass on the way in there. Not something you want to be doing. When you touch the grass and the car's loaded up, it can spin round in a moment. He did exactly the same thing on the way entry to Clearways there, as well as then Pradell flirts with the outsider. This is the level of precision these drivers have to work with in. They're literally, it's millimetres, centimetres, not feet and inches, you know. It's so precise, these drivers are. The level is so high in GB3 at the moment. It's so impressive to watch because, you know, you're driving 130, 140 miles an hour around here, centimetres away from the grass, touching it at times, just to try and eke out the most speed they possibly can around the corners.
It's honestly, just keep your eye on the lead car in this battle, that white, purple and pink car. Look at that, right onto the white line on turning. We'll see it again up towards Hawthorne. You could see it going into Graham Hill Bend. And then it's just the absolute knowledge to know how wide your car is at every single moment is so unbelievably impressive. I could look at it as a mere mortal and think, look, if I tried that even for one lap, I would be off. The fact that he's doing it every single lap, every single corner, every single attempt, leaving absolutely nothing, taking the entirety of the circuit and a little bit more.
Do you know what that says to me? That says that's a driver there with Pat Heuzenroeder, and a lot of other drivers doing the same thing as well, but Heuzenroeder demonstrating it vividly there, that it's a driver that is very much in control, very confident, both of their own ability and also with the car. So XR Motorsport clearly giving Pat Heuzenroeder a car that gives him confidence to push the limits of the circuit and the limits of the grip. Although at the moment, that's Roder Motorsport number 21 with the yellow flash of Jean-Marco Pradell behind him, keeping him honest, right there, well within DRS. Ninovic again setting the fast lap of the race, chipping his way down into the 18s. A reminder, pole was a 17.6, but that was with brand new Pirelli tyres. So the circuit just maybe heating up a bit this afternoon, not letting the Pirelli tyres perform at their absolute best. But we continue on this final battle here. This is between 4th and 5th, second in the championship. Those two are a reminder. Only 13 points separate them.
Indeed, DRS wide open on Gianmarco Pradell's car as he tries to close his way up in towards Hawthorne's onto the rear end of Pat Heuzenroeder, who once again takes the entirety of the circuit and a little bit more. He might be sent a bill by MSV about, or maybe you can send it back. I've done a bit of grass cutting for you, don't worry about it.
Not sure which way the invoices were going for that one, but yeah, speed through the middle sector here. And that's one of the main draws of this Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, is you require that level of commitment to get the lap time out of the cars. The barriers are close. You can see a perfect example of that there. Only a few metres, or less than a couple of metres off the circuit, you're into the barriers, and that certainly hones the driver's concentration. As we cut back to our leader, Alex Ninovic, championship leader, race leader, pole position sitter in both race 1 and race 2. He is having the season of his career so far, and this weekend might be up there with his best performance. Who knows? We'll have to ask him after the race. Maybe Jon Jackson can ask him where this weekend ranks if this race goes to plan, because again, we don't want to cause any commentators curses, but to be able to gap the field, and the likes of Freddie Slater, who has that ridiculous podium record in this championship. He was dominant the first round at Silverstone as well, but to go out and then be faster than these drivers who are tipped for the top, Ninovic is definitely putting himself in that band.
I mean, look, Freddie Slater there was using quite a lot of the track going into Hawthorne's, leaving it all on the line. Why not? I will say with Ninovic, and to be fair, with this is a big shout out to Roden. If you look at the last 2 years before this, look at Roden in the Drivers' Championship. It has been a Roden driver that has won the championship. It was Callum Voisin back in 2023. Of course, it was Louis Sharp last year, and now it's Alex Ninovic who's the one in position. Roden have a knack for finding that driver that can bring home the prize, even if they don't quite get the team's championship. Although this year, yeah, they're in position for that as well, very comfortably.
But they also provide that driver with the necessary means to go and race at the absolute front. They've been pushed hard by the likes of JHR. They've been pushed hard by High Tech, of course. We had Alex Dunn narrowly missing out the championship. Joseph Loke as well, narrowly missing out on the championship. I think that was the year before, wasn't it? So the there's a lot of teams right up there, and we've got new teams this year, and looking at Reza Seaworthen there and Lucas Flusha Argenti with Prema. We've had VRD join the championship. We've got JHR up there as well. Hillspeed have had a resurgence in this championship too. Championship's in a good place at the moment. Really enjoying watching these new cars for 2025 race at high speeds. And don't forget, Elite Motorsport taking lots of victories as well in the years gone by, and they've been strong this year. McIntyre took a victory earlier this year, didn't he, as well? So, it's competitive nonetheless, but Rodin definitely are the ones to beat this weekend for certain.
This is the look at 8th position. Kanato Lee in the red and black Hill Speed car is under pressure from Abby Pulling, who spent the entirety of the previous race under the rear wing of her teammate in Gianmarco Bradell. Now has the attack potentially coming in for Kanato Lee. Noah Lyle directly behind, and Will Mack also in the fight, all for 8. Yeah, we just saw a small error there from Abby Pulling through the exit of Westfield, just dropping 2 wheels over the exit curb. And I don't know if you watched on the onboard lap there, but I mentioned the exit curb at Westfield. It looks small and it looks inviting, but if you put 2 wheels on that, it drags you off the circuit, you lose grip, and then it drops off the back. There's a step off the back, and these cars run so low. The bottom of the car can hit the ground, the plank. That means you get even less grip on your tyres, and we saw that drag Abby Pulling ever so slightly wide. Now we've got a battle here between Will McIntyre and Noah Lyle. Lyle defensive into Druids. Can McIntyre go around the outside? No, Lyle was a little bit slow into Paddock, and then a bit of a lock up there in the Druids. Pushes Will McIntyre out wide. They hold their positions in 10th and 11th. Will McIntyre in that 11th position. Noah Lyle in the grey and orange highlighted JHR Developments car is the one that hangs on to 10th position. Little bit racy there between a pair of them, and I know commentated on Will Mack quite a bit here over the last couple of years. Know how feisty he can be as a competitor. He won't like that at all. No, I think that was harsh but fair from Noah Lyle. He was ahead at the apex, had a little lock up on the way in. I think they avoided contact narrowly, but they lived to fight another day. But that was all born out of the fact that Lyle just made a small mistake, went wide through the apex of Paddock Hill Bend. Much like we saw Abby Pulling a lap ago go wide through Westfield. Small mistakes around Brands Hatch really are punished. They really are indeed. With 4 minutes and 50 seconds left to go, just seen Alex Ninovic go past the commentary box. We should, with this amount of time left to go, maybe just about sneak 4 laps in, so it would be a lap shorter than the originally slated race length. Might be 3, but we'll keep an eye on where Ninovic can end up in this race. He's still in the 18s, by the way. He's the only driver that's got into the 18s. He's an 18.983 on the previous lap, 3/10 faster than Freddie Slater. The closest battle in that top 5 is this battle here. 4th position, it's Pat Heuzenroeder and Gianmarco Bradell directly behind. Yeah. There we go, we see Pat Heuzenroeder using all the road on the entry 30s once again, just trying to open up the entry as much as possible to get that run down towards Pilgrim's Drop and up then to Hawthorns. DRS still in effect for these drivers, so Bradell being held within contention. You can see the DRS pipe open on Abby Pulling's car, Noah Lyle's car, or McIntyre's car there in that order. This is the battle for the bottom end of the top 10. Must say Yamakoshi in 6th place, doing a great job as well this weekend. He's kind of gone a bit under the radar, but very impressive for a driver to come over from Asia, and then in a circuit doesn't know very well, and be right well inside the top 10. Yeah, and again returning to the championship. Of course, we have seen Yamakoshi, Kanato Lee and Freddie Slater at previous rounds of the championship, but when you step away from a little bit, you're not used to driving this car, you come back into driving this car and you're greeted with this being the circuit to drive. That is quite a tall learning curve to jump straight in, especially when the testing that you do on Friday, and obviously they did a test a few weeks ago around the Grand Prix circuit, but the test they did on Friday, they only ran the Indy layout, at which point, realistically, of the 4 corners on the Indy layout, only 2 of them are particularly relevant, because the speed difference of the Paddock Hill is wildly different, so it's just Druid to Graham Hill. Yeah, exactly. It's a real tall order. I think it's not to be understated the challenge the drivers who haven't raced here before are undergoing, joining the GB3 Championship and trying to race around this circuit. It's not to be understated how much of a confidence track it is. You really have to be at one with the car and feel confident. Because if you haven't got that confidence, you really can't push to the limit. I only raced here once in what was the BRDC British F3 Championship. Bradell has a look up the inside of Hawthorns. You can't do a move up the inside from that far back into there. That's barely a break in these GB3 cars with the amount of downforce they've got. But as I was mentioning, it's Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. I only raced here once, or one race weekend. Didn't really ever feel like I got fully on top of it, whereas other circuits with similar levels of track time,
you get to speed much quicker because you can afford to push slightly beyond the limit. Brands Hatch does not afford you that luxury.
No, you make a mistake even at the Grand Prix venues we go to, the likes of Silverstone, the likes of the Hungaroring, Spa, or even Monza, which will be coming up as the season finale this year. You make a mistake there, and you can. There's enough room to play with around here. Not a chance. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, not on the previous one that's just been complete, but the one before that. It was an 18.762 from Alex Ninovic, 2.5 seconds clear. Freddie Slater did just break into the 18s with a 1:18.965, and with the time left to go in the race, there is 2 more laps, 2 more attempts for Gianmarco Pradel to try and find his way past Pat Heuzenroeder.
Yeah, an 18.6 would have put our race leader, if this was qualifying, would have put him fifth on the grid. Yeah, 5th on the grid, that's on brand new slick tyres. And he's on these tyres are at least one qualifying and half a session old now, so they may even be running the same tyres from race 1. Who knows? Because 2 full sets of tyres available to all of these drivers for qualifying and the 3 races. They will use 1 new set in qualifying 1 new set in qualifying 2, and then they'll have the choice of those 2 sets between race 1, 2 and 3. So it looks like we might have a move. Reza Seaworthen having just a little sniff up the inside going into Hawthorns.
That was a good sniff as well. Reza Seaworthen, like I say, having a little bit of look on Time for Nitschkel, running in 14th position, and out wide goes Seaworthen. Here comes Flynn Jacks looking down the inside, trying to go for a move. He tries to go for it, but this is such an awkward, narrow, tricky part of the circuit. There was no way leaving a nose down the inside round there was going to work. You really need to be fully alongside. Fully committed and decisive to do a move in that middle sector. I think potentially Jax could have made that move if he was completely all in, but I think Jax may be thinking, you know what, finish the race, get the experience. We know that he's building this year. We've spoken to him in this weekend already, and he's just looking to gain experience and bounce back from that, pretty horrific injury he sustained, unfortunately, towards the end of last year. Not at the racetrack, actually. It was an unfortunate road traffic incident for him, but he's back again with vengeance, and who knows, maybe we'll see him again next year for a proper championship challenge. And he's been looking faster, even regardless of all that. Either way, the time has ticked to 0, and Alex Ninovic is into the final sector. This will actually be the first track that he's taken more than 1 victory on this season, because he's spread his 5 victories across Zandvoort, Spa, Hungary, Silverstone, and Brands Hatch, of course, where he's going to be coming across the line to take a 2nd victory this weekend and a 6th in total. Alex Ninovic is starting to fully take control of the 2025 season as he dominates once again here at Brands Hatch. Behind him, it's Freddie Slater, and a solid drive as well from Deegan Fairclough to round out the podium.
Ninovic's championship position is just getting stronger and stronger. He's won at every circuit we've been to this year. The only event he didn't win at was the first one of the year. And as you mentioned, Lewis, that's Rodrigo Gonzalez into the barrier. We're getting thumbs up from the marshal, so physically okay. Let's have a look what happened here.
Penultimate corner.
Oh, he's just touched the grass on the entry. We were speaking about this earlier, Lewis. Weren't we? If you're flirting with the edge of the circuit, you just touch the grass and then quickly round you go. Sterling's the same place we saw Jack. Was it Jack Sherwood?
It was Jack Sherwood.
Yesterday.
The difference here is I think he might have had a moment even going through Sheen, because he
you reckon?
Because there was the way it had come around the corner, there was already a little bit of dirt being kicked up over on the right hand side. So I wonder if he had a moment, maybe a bit of a slide going through Sterling, or going out of the likes of Sheen, then put him onto the wrong side of the circuit going into Sterling, and maybe that's where it went. I don't know.
It's an interesting theory, Lewis.
I mean, I'm only saying that because of my personal experience driving.
Crashing here a lot on the simulator.
I have crashed in probably more than any other circuit I've driven on the simulator.
Yes.
I don't know what the limit is.
You found it plenty of times.
I've gone over it plenty of times. I don't know if I found it or not.
Anyway, this man here is the man of the day, man of the weekend. Double victory, double pole position, double fastest lap. All that remains is to see what he can do in that reverse grid race. I'm interested to see what he can do with that pace. We know it's hard to overtake around here, but we've seen it been done before. Callum Voisin in 2022 when he crashed in qualifying and then managed to make 15, 16 places over the 2 races, and then had a storming reverse grid race. But he won't be thinking about that yet. He'll just be dwelling on what was an amazing performance. Alex Ninovich, championship leader, double victor, and you can see what it means to him.
Yeah.
What a weekend this man is having.
He's been very impressive this weekend. Like I said, the return of Freddie Slater into the championship, bit of obviously a fist bump there between them. Everyone always assumed, Freddie Slater's coming back, and with how fast he was back in Silverstone, that realistically everyone's looking at being like, well, he's going to win some races this round and all this, that and the other. And we were talking about this quite a bit in the previous race, that maybe for the likes of Alex Ninovich and even even Deacon Fairclough and the likes, it's the time to be like, actually, no, you're talking to quite a lot of this guy, but this is my championship after all. And again, superb performance from Ninovich once again. Deacon Fairclough made a bit of an understated drive there into third position, kept the car out of trouble, got a decent start, had a very quiet race to be honest, just didn't really get involved in anything, couldn't quite keep up with Freddie Slater, but was comfortably fast enough to keep Pat Heuzenroeder and Gianmarco Pradel behind. There's Alex Ninovich, who we'll be catching up with in just a moment, with a man standing just behind him because it's time to throw down to Jon Jackson.
Hi Lewis, yeah, I couldn't get out of shot that time. As you can see, Alex just getting some photos here. So many photographers here. It's like the paparazzi are here. Do you want one as well? Yeah, no, you can get one, I don't know. I mean, this has been a perfect weekend for you so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely so far. It's been the perfect weekend we could have hoped for, and I can't be happy enough. The car feels amazing, and I'm on point this weekend, and everything's come together really well. So it shows from the 2 top qualifiers and then the 2 wins in the races with a nice margin. So yeah, I can't complain about anything.
Piers wanted me to ask you during the race on commentary where this ranks in your race weekends. Is this your best ever race weekend?
Definitely, so far. Definitely, to get the double pole and the double win, it's definitely ranks as probably my best weekend so far. And yeah, I'm just extremely excited. I'm super happy with the result, and it obviously gives us some good points in the championship.
We've had a little bit of a delay, so there's a little bit of a shorter turnaround between this and the reverse grid race. Is that a problem for you, or is that you take that in your stride?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the reverse grid, see what happens there. Being so close turnaround, I think it might keep us a bit more awake than getting a bit tired in between the long sessions. So I think, yeah, I'm looking forward to that and see where it goes, starting from 12th. Keep it safe and try and get a few points.
Yeah, I would imagine more points on the way. Congratulations on your second win this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alex Ninovich with Roden. Freddie Slater, we speak again, same result as yesterday, and still great pace for yourself, but Alex also with the great pace too.
Yeah, we need to find where we're missing. I think we know where it is, it's just hard to extract that in such a short amount of time, and obviously we're looking for fine margins, we're not looking for half a second, at some point. So we just got to dig in a little bit for race 3, see obviously if we can improve the car for the dirty air especially, because obviously there's 11 cars in front of us. So we're going to try and manage that and see how we get on and have some fun in race 3.
You're hopeful of some overtakes, because there's not been too many overtakes, well, up front not many at all.
Yeah, lap 1 I'll definitely be getting stuck in to see what I can do, and obviously the start's going to be crucial, and then after we'll see how the race plays out, hopefully a few picking off with a few mistakes in front, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Excellent, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And not too long to wait until we have to do that as well, because we're going to have the race starting at 5:55, which means our broadcast will start around about 5:25. You can hear Deacon Fairclough being interviewed actually by the course interviewer, so I mean I'll just wait and we can just watch him being interviewed here. Here we go. Right, Deacon, congratulations, another podium for you. I mean, epic pace by everyone in the top 3, like it was exactly the same as yesterday.
Yeah, I was hoping one of them would make a mistake, but it's so close, and the lap times we're trading like thousandths at this point now in the weekend. So fair play to both of them, they've been doing really well, but the race was over after 2 meters on the main straight. So the dirty air is just a bit of a pain around this circuit because it's so abrasive. But yeah, no, looking forward to the reverse grid later on. Hopefully we can maximise some overtaking points, and that would be nice to end the weekend off.
What do you realistically think is possible in that next race?
Cool, anything can happen. So just got to maximise out of the situation. You can't predict anything. But yeah, just more points. The top 5 would be brilliant. I think 2/3 in the top 5 would be an awesome way to end this weekend.
Yeah, get out there and get stuck in. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
There we go, Deacon Fairclough with High-Tech TGR. That was the second race of the weekend, slightly later than we were expecting before. I think all the drivers have been spoken to now. Yeah, they're heading to the podium, and Lewis will talk you through it.
And once again, what a podium. It's the same podium as yesterday. In fact, it's the same top 4 as yesterday, because Pat Heuzenroeder also finished in 4th position in yesterday's race. For Alex Ninovic, though, when I speak of Pat Heuzenroeder finishing in 4th twice, well, Pat Heuzenroeder is still 2nd in the championship and is the closest rival to Alex Ninovic, who now has, get this, have a deep breath, a 67-point lead in the championship. It's 35 points for a race victory, so effectively he's nearly got 2 race victories worth of points over the rest of the field, with 7 races left to go. If he were to win the championship at the end of the Donington Park round, of course in October, before we even go to the Temple of Speed in Monza, he would require a 103-point, technically 102-point championship lead, but there's, we'll play it safe. 103 points. Obviously, the most you can score from a round here is 102 points. So be safe, call it 103 points, and that's the points margin he would need to leave Donington with to score it in the penultimate round. That doesn't typically happen in the GB3 Championship. It almost always comes down to the wire in some degree. So for Ninovic, I'm sure he's looking out for drama in the next race a little bit later on this afternoon. We'll have that reverse grid race. Deegan Fairclough into 3rd position. Freddie Slater said he's going to get aggressive in that reverse grid race, especially early on, to try and make up some progress. Alex Ninovic to take to the top step of the podium. Somebody probably won't be quite as aggressive when it comes to making up those positions. He needs to score just some decent points from that. Honestly, a first and maybe somewhere inside the top 10, and you're looking at a great weekend. No point in taking any major risks and going after anything crazy, because his main championship rivals, the likes of Pat Heuzenroeder, I don't think Gianmarco Pradel, they're going to be starting only a couple of rows ahead. It's not as if one of those is starting right at the front. Richard Randall there to pass out the trophies to our top 3, and of course the biggest of all, to our championship leader Alex Ninovic in the middle for the 6th time this season. Is a race winner. He has been absolutely incredible when it comes to picking up those race victories. Podiums, he's only got 1 further podium than that though, which is the interesting part, as the champagne will get sprayed around a little bit. Got to dry yourself off. You've only got 2 hours before we're racing again in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC for the reverse grid race. Before that though, let's take a look at highlights from round 17. Highlights from round 17 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Ninovic starting from pole position alongside Freddie Slater once again, and the championship leader was trying to keep calm and collected. It was a perfect start to the race though for him, as he was able to clear off from Freddie Slater down into the first corner. Deegan Fairclough also keeping up for 3rd position, looking down the inside of Freddie Slater, who was unable to do anything about it. Plenty of side-by-side behind though on the race up towards Druids. It was Abby Pulling going on the attack of Kai Darianani, the highest place battle. It opened up the door for Kanato Lee to sneak their way through. And once again, Abby Pulling was going back on the attack, straight down the inside of Kanato Lee once more, but the battling behind between Keanu Alazari would see Alazari sent round by Tom Finichkul into the polystyrene board, and that would cause a retirement of the race for Alazari and a safety car as well. Late on in the race, it was Rodrigo Gonzalez who was off and into the barrier, which unfortunately would call an end to his race. For Ninovic though, it was a dominant performance at the front. For the 6th time this season, he would come across the line as a victor once again to extend his championship lead, as he'd come across the line ahead of Freddie Slater and Deegan Fairclough. A superb drive once more from Alex Ninovic, who is looking strong in this championship. We've said that time and time again, and we will keep saying that. But those provisional race results, it is Ninovic ahead by 2 seconds over Freddie Slater, a further 2 seconds ahead of Deegan Fairclough, the top 3, and then quite a large gap, those top 3 class of the field, a big gap back to Pat Heuzenroeder and Gianmarco Pradel, who were in that great battle for 4th position. Yamakoshi, a bit of a lonely race there into 6th position, with Kai Darianani in 7th, able to keep behind the hill speed driver of Kanato Lee. Abby Pulling and Noah Lyle would round out the top 10, separated by less than half a second across the line. Will McIntyre in 11th position, with Jack Sherwood in 12th, Lucas Flusher and Tom Finichkul in 13th and 14th position, with Renner Worthen finishing in 15th position. Probably quite disappointed with that, unfortunately, after getting pushed down a little bit on the opening lap. Then it's Flynn Jacks, Patricio Gonzalez, Johnson, Bustamante and Rodrigo Gonzalez retiring on the final lap of the race, unsure as to whether he's eligible for that final point. Unfortunately, Al-Azhari out of the race on the opening lap, meaning there is definitely no points to be scored for the high-tech TGR driver. Championship standings, though. This is where things get maybe a little bit scary for the rest of the field. It is 358 points for Alex Ninovic, 67 clear of Patrick Heuzenroeder. Jean-Marco Pradel in third position, a further 15 points behind. Then it's 251 for Deegan Fairclough. Then it's Will McIntyre. Keanu Al-Azhari scoring no points in that race, dropping out of that top 5 down into 6th position. Noah Lyle, though, keeping close in 7th. Reza Suwerthan and, of course, Freddie Slater back into the top 10, up to 9th position, getting ahead of Kai Darianani now. But the big talking point is that 67-point margin that Alex Ninovic has at the top of the standings. 6 race victories, 7 podiums. What more does he have to do? Again, he's probably looking at trying to get that out to a 103-point margin over the next 4 races, so he doesn't have to worry about it going into Monza. But that's easier said than done. We'll head down to Piers, though, who's in the paddock trying to catch up with another couple of drivers.
Down here getting some of the live reaction, starting with Lucas Flusha. Lucas, right in the action there. That looked like a pretty chaotic race.
Yeah, to be honest, it was way more fun than yesterday for me. It was, I tried my best. Obviously, it's quite hard to overtake in this track. So just tried to put some pressure, but didn't work. So he drove good, but couldn't get past him at the end.
Not quite. It's a tricky track, isn't it? One that you've not driven at a huge amount. Some of the drivers have driven here previous years a number of times. It takes a while to get up to speed, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially I had 1 day of testing before quali yesterday and a free practice around the back. So yeah, it's definitely one of the hardest tracks I've driven, and it's been quite hard to adapt. But I think with the team together, we've improved. We've gone in the right direction with the setup for today. So let's keep building on for race 3.
I think your pace in that one was actually looked better than the previous one. Do you think it was?
Yeah, way better. Yesterday we struggled a bit, but today for sure we were staying with Jack and putting some pressure on him. But yeah, as I said, he didn't make a mistake, so it was quite hard to overtake.
Well, I'm going to embarrass you now. You said a moment ago you're more nervous for this than you were for the race, but you did a great job. I think everyone at home enjoyed that. Thanks very much. Lucas, we'll let you go and cool off. You've got a race not too long, so go get some fluids and energy, and we're going to grab Kai Darianani now. Off you go, mate. You're good. Off the hook. Kai Darianani, solid result there. 8th, is that 8th place in the end? I think, hang on, I haven't got 7th. Oh, I read it wrong, I can't read. There you go. Kai, very solid result. You've been there or thereabouts. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, I think struggled a little bit on the Friday, but we worked really hard with the team to get the car in a better window, and myself as well. I'd say, yeah, we made some really good progress, I think, throughout the weekend. I think pace seemed, the car felt quite solid. Even in qualifying with, still things to have optimized to kind of get close to that or into that top 5. In the race, had a bit of a tricky start, to be honest, and then I was under pressure, I think 1 lap going into T1, and then safety car came out, had a decent restart near enough, and just kept my head down and just did my laps.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, in a bit of no man's land, didn't get a huge amount of TV airtime in that one, but hopefully you can give us something to talk about in race 3.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see what happens.
How have you found it this weekend? You and Noah have been working together with the team to get the setup in position. It's a very different challenge in terms of getting the car in the right window to Silverstone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a different track. Obviously, it's a lot more bumpy, a lot more elevation changes. Just a different kind of circuit in general. But yeah, Noah and I and the whole team's been working really hard, been doing a really solid job. So yeah, big thanks to them.
You mentioned a moment ago, hard to overtake around here. But race 3, come on. What do you reckon you can do?
For sure, we'll give it a good send, try and get a good launch off the line and see what happens, really. I mean, reverse grid, obviously anything can happen, but yeah, Brands is definitely quite a difficult track to overtake. You need, I think, quite a big time delta to get some passes in, but we'll see.
You enjoying the racing so far here at Brands?
Yeah, it's a really fun track. I mean, I'll never forget, I won my first race here as well in GB4, so for me, it's one of my favourite tracks. It's a lot of fun to drive.
Amazing. Well, we'll enjoy you having fun out in race number 3. We'll let you go off because there's not a huge turnaround. Off you go. You get cool and get some energy in you. That's pretty much all we've got time for now. We've not got long until the final GB3 race of the weekend. I think that's coming up at about 10 past 5 or something like that. So join us around then. 5:55, my mistake. That's of course the old. We've got a new revised schedule. If you want to keep an eye on all the timings, have a look at the GB-3.net website. Join us then for the final race, partial reverse grid.